And Max, ringside I am with Roy Jones Jr. and Larry Merchant as we get ready for the first fight of the evening, a 105-pound title fight for the belt held by Iván Calderón of Puerto Rico. He is fighting Gerardo Verde of Mexico City. You can see that Verde, at only 20, is fighting for Calderón's title belt in only his 15th professional fight. They're both 5 feet tall, petite, an arm-length advantage of an inch for Calderón, who's a southpaw. They both weighed in under the 105-pound limit, and they both enter the ring tonight slightly above the official weight of 105. Calderón having ballooned to 111 pounds, while Verde likewise put on 7 pounds unofficially to 110. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Iván Calderón-Gerardo Verde fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the unified rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. In case the cut is caused by an accidental headbutt, we go to the scorecards if the 4 rounds have been completed, and you cannot be saved by the bell at any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim.
Thank you very much, Harold. 13 years ago, when Iván Calderón was 17 and Miguel Cotto, 140-pound star from Puerto Rico, was 12, they fought each other in youth boxing in Puerto Rico. Calderón won the fight from Cotto, who, believe it or not, at that time was the same size as the now 5-foot Calderón. Calderón won the fight, and they've been, according to Cotto, best friends ever since. So this is Miguel Cotto's best friend from Puerto Rico fighting against Gerardo Verde, who has won 13 of his first 14 professional fights, 10 by KO in Mexico, but now fights for the first time in the United States. And standing by for the official introductions, ring announcer Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Atlantic City's Boardwalk Hall, where tonight, courtesy of Caesars Atlantic City and Bally's Atlantic City, main events, along with Top Rank Incorporated, is proud to present an evening of professional boxing for your entertainment. Presented in association with Caesars and Bally's Atlantic City, with Nemiroff and HBO pay-per-view. All bouts sanctioned by the New Jersey State Athletic Control Board Boxing Commissioner, Larry Hazard Sr. This first contest sanctioned by the World Boxing Organization, President Francisco Paco Barcarcel. The 3 judges at ringside assigned to this contest will be Deborah Barnes, Adelaide Bird, and Melvina Lathan. And when the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Randy Newman. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 12 rounds of boxing. This is for the WBO Minimum Weight Championship of the World. Fighting blue corner, wearing green, official weight 103 pounds. Professional record 13 victories, including 10 knockouts, with only 1 defeat. De Ciudad de Mexico, Mexico City. Here's the challenger, Gerardo Diablito Verde. And fighting out of the red corner, wearing silver, trimmed with red and blue, official weight 104 pounds. His professional record is a perfect one. 22 bouts, 22 victories, including 14 knockouts, from Guaynabo, Puerto Rico, the reigning, defending WBO minimum weight champion of the world, Iván Iron Boy Calderón.
Okay, gentlemen, we're going to review the rules once more. There's no 3 knockdown rule. There's no standing 8. You can't be saved by any bell. If you go out of the ring, you have 20. If you fall on the apron, you have 10. I want you to remember 2 things. I want you to obey my commands, and most importantly, defend yourselves at all times. Now shake hands and come out of the bell.
To ride in the Kentucky Derby, where the minimum weight is 126 pounds, these guys would have to put on suits of armor.
Well, most jockeys weigh about 114. So both these guys are nearly 10 pounds under jockey weight when they weigh in, and then they move up toward it as they rehydrate overnight. But Calderón said that at one point he was asked to consider going to a jockey school in Puerto Rico, but he lacked a single prerequisite, which was a high school diploma. There's a hard right hand over the top by Verde. Calderón's a southpaw boxer. We have not seen Verde before, but we wait to see if he'll try to be the puncher in the fight.
Normally, Calderón is the mover and counterpuncher. Maybe he knows something about his opponent that nobody else does.
Because he's being the aggressor, or at least seems to be early on, Roy.
Well, I think he's taking over early because he realized this guy is young, and he doesn't want to let this guy get in the fight. The guy has
only 14 pro fights.
But 10 knockouts, and that's a big puncher, but he doesn't have a lot of experience. So Calderón is trying to shut him down early.
You can see that it is Verde, the conventional fighter, who actually seems to stand more or less with his shoulders square against Calderón in the southpaw stance. And just the stance alone for Verde suggests he thinks he's a power puncher, Roy, the way he's got his shoulders squared up.
And he got them feet spread very far apart. He ain't trying to land too many jabs. He only wants to land power shots.
So far, the fighter who's been landing in the first round is Calderón. And Verde seems to be sensing now that it may be a good idea to try to box more effectively before he tries to set up power shots. Calderón clearly determined to have a fast start in this fight.
And Calderón is a fighter who usually does his with an accumulation anyway. He's not really that big one-punch thrower. He throws a bunch of punches and tries to outpunch you, wear you down, then he may try to take you out.
Calderón lived many of his teenage years in the Bronx, eventually moved back to Puerto Rico to marry a Puerto Rican gal. Father of two. Swinging left hook over the top by Verde. He searches with a lead right hand. Calderón mixing to the body and has thrown a variety of punches upstairs, including that straight left hand that you saw landing just moments ago.
I think Verde is handling this unexpected attack with poise. You know, he isn't overexcited. He's probably a little surprised, but he's staying right there.
And as we go to the corners where they speak Spanish, our interpreter all night long will be Jerry Olaya.
Iván, don't rush yourself.
You can't stay on the inside. You got to let go. In and out, in and out. ¿Cómo te sientes? How are you feeling? All right. You see, you already touched them. Huh? You already touched them once. Think about what you're doing. Think about what you're doing. Follow the instructions. You know the instructions we have. Come on. Every time you throw the right, throw a hook.
CompuBox numbers in round one, quite one-sided. Calderón 12 out of 59, including 12 out of 39 power shots. Verde 4 out of only 17 launched punches. So while Larry was giving Verde credit for poise through the first round, one thing he did not do is erupt with a counterattack.
He might have had a little too much poise, huh?
I think he wanted to size him up, see how this is going to go.
Well, for the moment, it's still going Iván Calderón's way as he scores with a sharp right hook. In combination. Lead left hand for Calderón. He's really mixing up his attack, Roy.
Beautifully, he landed a beautiful right body shot coming out of that last combination against the ropes that really got Verde's attention.
Oh, there's a vicious body shot by Verde just below the belt line, and you heard Randy Newman say keep him up. That was a better placed left hook to the body. So Verde begins to show us a stock and trade for Mexican fighters over the decades. the solid body attacks. Calderón says, I can throw to the body too.
You know, usually when a guy gets hurt with a body shot, the first thing he does is respond with a body shot.
Yeah, and I think Verde's 2 body shots were his best punches in the fight since that straight right hand that started things off in round 1. Good enough that now Calderón's slightly more cautious, but he finds room to land an uppercut.
I think they just had a little clash of heads then. Nobody hurt from it, though.
Another hard right hand to the body by Verde, and Calderón comes back with a vicious right to the body of his own. Good combination by Calderón. Again, drives Verde back.
He's almost imposed his will totally on Verde now. Anytime he shakes his head to show a little of a response from a good hard punch, it means the other guy's starting to get to him a little bit.
Straight left hand by Calderón. Verde backs him off with a body shot.
All right, break. Step back. Don't punch.
Verde now
break,
throwing almost exclusively to the body.
Punch in the front and the back.
Clearly trying to slow down the attack that Calderón has been able to mount in the first couple of rounds with return fire to the ribcage.
You know what? Also, Calderón keeps his hands very high, and that's what he sees he can hit.
Well, it's about an hour and 45 minutes in theory until Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Arturo Gatti will make it into the ring with each other. But a half hour ago, Floyd Mayweather, in a bristlingly businesslike mode with entourage in tow, arrived here, went to his dressing room, and has begun preparations for the main event. Arturo Gatti still not in the arena.
You're doing okay? Doing a good job. Take your time, don't worry. Let him build his confidence.
Recíbelo con la izquierda.
Receive him with the left, huh?
Recibe con la izquierda y sale por
Receive him with the left and then come on this side. Come on.
Roy, what's the right time to arrive in the arena before a big fight?
Well, you know, it's no right time. It's whenever you get there, whenever you feel comfortable, whenever you got your game plan together in your head, you get up and go. I mean, some guys like to get there early. Some guys don't want to come until they feel like they're ready to go.
How late, in your view, would have been too late?
Too late would be an hour before the fight.
Just because the body needs the time to warm up?
Relax, get used to the atmosphere, get yourself acclimated, get acclimated to the climate here in the arena, just so you know what's going on before it starts.
Somebody who is as comfortable with the sport and likes being around the sport as much as Floyd Mayweather, it's not surprising he'd want to arrive early.
Not surprised at all. This is his big night. He feels like he has a job at hand. He feels like he gets a chance to come here, ruin a Chill's party in a Chill's house, and this is what he's looking forward to. So he's definitely way, way, way up on another level for this fight.
Round 3 now between Iván Calderón, nearest to you, in the silver with red and blue trunks, and in the white with red and green, that is Gerardo Verde of Mexico. And so far, the first 3 rounds have been a show of Calderón's multiple skills.
And Verde has shown ability to take some really, really good punches, because Calderón has hit him with some of the best punches you can actually hit an opponent with.
And does so again there. Now Verde gets in a right and a left as Calderón muscles into the ropes.
Let him out, let him out.
Calderón is usually the shortest guy in the ring. He sees a guy who's as short as him, and he says, I can go after this guy.
And then he's 10 years younger, so he says, let me get this guy mentally out of here, too, while I'm at it.
Now, what I'm wondering is when should a fan arrive at a fight like tonight's?
Because a lot of them haven't yet, but of course, there are parties on the boardwalk tonight.
They probably know Gotti ain't here yet, so they ain't tripping.
The old Arturo Gatti might have been at one of those parties, but not anymore. Walking the straight and narrow for the past several years. And that has definitely improved his game in the ring.
Definitely paid off.
Iván Calderón continues to land 3 or 4 to every one he takes from Verde. Verde is trying to get his money's worth by landing hard, particularly to the body. But Calderón so far showing no ill effects and continuing to work both upstairs and downstairs in much greater abundance than Verde. Now Calderón switches to a way more defensive posture and begins moving side to side, which shuts down the action from both fighters. Hard right hand across the top from Verde, and Calderón said, huh, if you're going to hit me on the top of the head, I'd better land a body shot after the bell.
Iván, come on, you can do it. Down and then quickly to the top. Come on, move side to side. Don't stay in front of him. Side to side. Remember that, side to side. Keep it up, keep it alive. Relax, relax. You're gonna suspend. Don't worry. Wait for him. Don't throw with everything. Wait for him, and then you catch him.
You know, often shows like this are put together geographically. Calderón is here because he is popular in Puerto Rico and has proven in the past that a certain number of fans down there will buy the pay-per-view.
He has become a stock item on top-ranked pay-per-view cards for exactly that reason. He himself laughs about it. I'm here to sell the Puerto Rican pay-per-view. Harold, how do you have it through 3?
Okay, Jim. 3-0. 30-27, Iván Calderón. Jim, there's a couple of things I want to mention. Number one, in round 2, Randy Newman said, hit him in the front. In other words, the scoring area in a boxing match is the top of the head, down to the belly button, and from the side, you know, from one side to the other. If you hit a guy in the back and the kidneys, it's an illegal punch. The second thing, I always talk about ring generalship. Watch Iván Calderón. Lands 2 or 3 good shots and steps to the side like Roy Jones used to do. In other words, he's not there when the verdict goes to counter. 3-0 Calderón.
Referee Randy Newman, himself a former heavyweight fighter of some skill, is an activist referee. He does not shrink from getting involved in the action, particularly on a verbal level. He'll coach the fighters during the course of the fight.
I like the way you put that, Larry, the way Roy Jones used to.
Hey, Larry, our director, Mark Payton, had a great line for which I think he deserves credit. When you said Calderón normally finds himself the shortest man in the ring, Mark said he's normally the shortest man in the state. And it may not be far from wrong. Here's a good counter right hand by Verde as Calderón was coming in. Verde's gotten a little better at timing Calderón's attack, and the result is that Calderón isn't as aggressive as he used to be.
I think Calderón has settled down his attack now a little bit because he mentally feels like he has Verde where he wants him at.
He's won the first 3 rounds. He's got a pad on the scorecard. He can box from here on out.
Take his time. Do what he wants to do when he wants to do it.
Get out of there.
Good body shot.
I tell you, for 20 years old and 14 professional fights, this kid can fight a little. Verde.
could be a prelude to what we're looking for tonight in the main event, because you got a guy who's a straight ahead fighter, a puncher, and you got a guy who's a quick boxer, smart boxer, who fights left and right.
And we're going to take a look now at the next HBO pay-per-view event. It's coming up on July 16th.
Hopkins ruled his division for a decade.
I am the undisputed middleweight king.
Taylor thinks that's long enough.
It's time for a change.
One's a legend with a record 20 title defenses.
You think you can beat me? Bring it on.
One's a young bull who's never been defeated.
If you won't pass the torch, I'll take it.
Hopkins versus Taylor, next in line, Saturday, July 16th, live on pay-per-view. Contact your pay-per-view provider to order.
I'm the next to go down.
Bernard Hopkins against Jermaine Taylor, July 16. One of those can't wait events.
Y hay que tirar más golpes, estamos tirando menos golpes.
You gotta throw more punches. You gotta throw more punches. We're upstream. We're not winning, but let's win. Come on, let's look for the fight.
Bout is scheduled for 12 rounds as Iván Calderón is defending a title in the minimum weight class. In round 4, Verde threw 13, or landed 13 out of 33 punches, and Calderón 12 of 55. That was Verde's most prolific round so far. His punch count is going up with each passing round. Calderón threw more earlier in the bout and is now focusing on boxing, moving, and trying to maintain control over Verde in the fight. That straight left hand seems occasionally to surprise Verde.
And it catches him when he's not ready for it. That's why I surprised him. Verde waiting for a counter, but the left hand is there so quick, he can't really get his counter off.
You get the sense maybe Verde'd be better off fighting Calderón from a closer distance, but he doesn't seem to be trying to get closer. He seems content to box Calderón from this range.
I don't think he likes fighting Calderón inside either, though. When he gets in, when he almost gets close, he hauls tail out of there like he don't want to really be there.
One to the body by Verde. But the biggest difference in the fight so far, Calderón repeatedly able to land combinations. Verde, on those occasions when he's landing, one punch at a time.
The smart thing for Calderón is he's way out in front of Verde. He always starts his punching before Verde gets a chance to start.
Yeah.
So he's making him fight second.
Calderón switches conventional and hammers Verde with the right hand to the body. But yeah, it's been a textbook exhibition of beating your man to the punch. They get ready to exchange, and Calderón lands. This is a round in which Calderón has coasted a little
get out of
bit.
there. Don't punch, step back.
And still he appears to be winning the round. Verde might have had a chance to step up the pace here and land some damaging punches, but he just has been satisfied to stand and look at Calderón when Calderón stood and looked at him.
This is good. We're going to the 6th round. That was nice. That was nice. Yeah, bring the face here. Come on. Excellent job. Excellent job. Just like we planned. Just what we need to do. Your hook is going in, but the hook is hitting him here. You can need to hit him here. The chin. Come on, let's go for it. Let's go for it. We need to go for it.
Estamos en el sexto round.
We're in the sixth.
Estamos en el
Remember
sexto
that.
round, es la mitad
6
de la pelea.
rounds, half of the
Y aquí
fight.
necesitamos imponer un
From here
ritmo
on,
fuerte.
we need to
Pégale
have a
abajo,
strong rhythm.
abajo. Si
Go
buscas
down,
la
hit him
cabeza,
down.
se te va. Pégale abajo.
Average CompuBox numbers per round. Calderón 13 out of 58, Verde 8 of 26. So far, on average, by CompuBox count, Calderón is throwing twice as many punches in every round as is Verde.
Partially because he's using a jab. Verde is not using a jab.
At all. There he jabs to the body, but by and large, Verde jabs only occasionally and seemingly only when Calderón reminds him that the punch exists by throwing a few jabs. Now Verde lands a straight right hand as Calderón commits to his own straight left. Calderón comes back with a straight left over the top, 2 body punches, and Verde with a wild swinging left hook lands it. It's always been a constant debate in the sport about how effective the left hook should be against a southpaw. Some guys can't seem to land it at all. Some guys think of it as a money punch against a southpaw. Your thoughts, Roy?
All depends on the particular southpaw and where he keeps his front hand, which is his right hand. If a guy keeps his right hand at home, it's very hard to land the left hook. And if a guy keeps his head low, it's very hard to land the left hook.
Let him go. Step out, don't punch.
Classic case in point. Oscar De La Hoya, all night long against Pernell Whitaker, never landed a single left hook. His money punch.
Because Pernell keeps that head very low. And it's difficult to land a hook when he keeps his head low. Calderón does the same thing here.
Low blow by Verde.
Punches up.
Randy Newman tells him to keep it up. Keep looking for something that will change the tempo or the pattern of the fight, but it hadn't happened yet. Straight left hand again, landing for Calderón. Just the way Calderón lands a straight left, you might think Verde could do the same thing with a straight right. That is the most proven tactic against the southpaw, but Verde often loops his right hands. Once again, Calderón beats Verde to the punch.
They're both boy-sized, but in fact, it's a man against a boy.
Certainly in terms of overall command, that's been the case. Calderón at age 30 showing you his professionalism. Verde at age 20 showing some potential. Again, multiple punches landed by Calderón in the combination. There's a left hook against the southpaw.
Come on, we're losing it. We're losing it. What's happening? What's happening, Gerardo? Come on, he has nothing left. You've got to go for him.
Mira, estamos en el séptimo round.
It's the 7th round. Come on. He's already hit you with his best shot. He's got nothing left. I don't want you to come in with that overhand. Come on, let's go.
He see Calderón landing his money punch all night. What Jim was talking about, that overhand left right there. He comes back with an overhand left right there. Once again, there's a right hand, straight left hand right there. Then here's a straight left behind the jab. And once again, there's a straight left lead. He's just been landing the left hand, whether it's straight or overhand left, all night long, Jim.
Is part of that because Verde tends to split his hands when he gets ready to throw?
Yeah, that and Verde has a lot of weight on that front foot because he's looking to land a heavy punch. Most punchers have a lot of weight on that front foot because they got to be planted to land their big punches.
The 6th round was Calderón's best round yet in terms of landing punches, 19 out of 57 to 13 out of 34 for Verde. Harold, how do you have it so far? Is it 60 to 54?
You got it, Jim. 60 to 54, 6 rounds to nothing. Iván Calderón. Jim, it's mostly on clean punching. You know, southpaw, always his power punches his left hand. And Iván Calderón seems to be doing a heck of a lot of damage with that left hand. But I got to tell you, he's got a wicked right hook like you just saw. Good straight right, and it's the ring generalship. It's the movement that's winning it for him. 6-0, Iván Calderón.
All right, come on, get out of there. Be careful.
Roy, if your 20-year-old fighter has won 14 of his first 15 and 10 knockouts, as you say, indicating he's a power puncher, is it shocking to suddenly come up against a guy who has the whole game and shows you something you haven't seen before?
No, it's not shocking. You should expect that. It's a reason he has the title belt. That's what people don't realize. A lot of times in boxing, there are reasons people have championship belts. They don't give them to you.
One punch.
Calderón, as we mentioned, with a title belt in the minimum weight class. The limit is 105.
Break, don't punch, get up. Good job. All right, you're tied. Work your way out.
Good body shot by Verde as they broke out of the clinch. And Calderón showing a little respect for Verde here as he backs away following the body shot.
Now Calderón is taking the fight that we expected to see out of him right away.
All right, don't punch, get up. Don't punch, get up.
This is the Calderón that we know, the boxer move of Calderón. Not that hard, heavy attack.
Work out, watch your head, watch your head.
This is probably the Calderón that Verde had been expecting to see. Far more than the guy who came at him in the first 2 rounds, attacked him, and seized the initiative in the fight. Website information, HBOPPV.com, indicative of HBO pay-per-view. HBOPPV.com is the destination for boxing fans. Log on to our site for your daily Fight Week updates.
You gotta go into the body. Go into the body. Remember that. You're the boss, man. You're the boss. He's dead. Use your hook. You gotta use it. You gotta go in. No. This is street fight. You gotta pressure and throw everywhere. Top, bottom, everything.
Él es habilidoso, él es habilidoso, entonces tienes que estar encima y adentro y tirando. Si tú lo dejas tirar a él.
Iván Calderón is a nifty little fighter, but he couldn't put a dent in a box of Kleenex.
That's okay. They give you the win if you get to the end of the fight and have 1 more round. And that's the way Calderón's been winning for a while.
I guess I say that because
All right, get out of there.
I think I've seen this fight already, but I know I still got to keep seeing it.
Indicative of
No knockdown.
That's a hard hook by Calderón. And Randy Newman rules no knockdown. Indicative of what Larry was saying about the absence of sufficient power to dent a box of Kleenex. Calderón has 22 wins, no losses. 5 of those wins are by knockout. No doubt those 5 opponents were all Kleenex boxes.
I thought that might have looked like a knockdown.
I thought it was a knockdown.
I didn't understand why he didn't rule it a knockdown.
And I think Calderón actually can punch to be a little guy. It's just you got to look at his competition. He fighting some very good fighters who take a very good punch, but he is a pretty good puncher to me for his size.
I think so too. Incidentally, Harold Lenneman agrees with us, so it's 4-0 at this table. We thought it was a knockdown.
Even the guy who said he couldn't put a dent in a box of Kleenex.
Good counter right hand by Calderón. What a pro. Very professional fighter.
And this is the kind of fighter you put on the pound-for-pound list, not because of who he beats, but because of his natural skills.
Verde banging away to the body as he momentarily trapped Calderón in the corner and got in 3 good body shots. That was Verde's best moment since the first round.
Get out, get out, get out.
Oh. Good left hook by Verde as he caught Calderón while Calderón was throwing a slow uppercut.
Calderón caught him with a beautiful uppercut.
Break, break. Don't punch, get up.
Now quick right hook by Calderón, and he dances away again. Verde's had a couple moments in this round.
Break, break, don't punch, get up.
As the Mexican fighter continues to focus to the body. Gerardo Verde, 13-1 with 10 KOs from Mexico City, only 20 years old.
Was it a knockdown? You be the judge.
Yes.
And I assume Newman thinks that their feet got tangled up.
Well, I don't know.
Or that it was more a throwdown than a knockdown, maybe?
Wait,
Yeah,
no,
that's
in fact, well, let's see. They did step on each other's feet. After that, I'm not sure if they stepped on their feet before that.
Don't give him a break. Don't give him a break.
Close enough. The job of a referee at that moment, incidentally, is quite unenviable. You know, it's easy for us to sit here and say, oh, that was a knockdown, but the referee has to make that decision in a split second. And it's not always easy to see what has taken place, particularly between a southpaw and a conventional fighter. Power shots in the 8th round. Calderón 8 out of 24. Verde 10 out of 41. 7 of the 10 connects were body shots. If you were looking for a round to give to Verde in the fight, that might have been it. Another hard body shot. And Calderón seems to be increasingly respectful of Verde's body attack.
Verde is throwing some very vicious body shots there, and he has to respect those.
I think Calderón is looking for a way, Roy, to counter over one of those body shots.
Also, as Larry pointed out early in the fight, Calderón holds his hands high, far more intent on protecting his chin than his rib cage, and therefore the opportunity that's available to Verde is body punches. Another good uppercut there.
Punch. All right, what's your heads?
Left hand uppercut landed for Calderón in close. I agree with Larry, Roy. I think Calderón thinks he can get Verde to walk into something here.
And that's what he's trying to do now, because he didn't want to take no more chances. He thinks he has a padded enough lead that he don't have to take chances no more.
Don't punch,
and
get
so
up.
he's fighting very smart.
So he assumes that Verde comes at him more and more aggressively, which will create more opportunities to land a big shot as Verde comes in.
Break, watch your head, watch your head. Let him out, step back.
Next in the ring, incidentally, a famous name, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Fighting against a potential sacrificial lamb, but perhaps a better opponent than he's seen up to this point, Ruben Galvan. Chavez Jr. has 19 wins in a row to begin his professional career.
Two more rounds to go. Two more rounds to go. Okay?
Gotta take it to school. We're doing good. We're doing good.
Vamos al 10º round ya, Gerardo.
This is the 10th. This is the 10th round. Come on. You gotta throw it all.
Okay, I'll do it after. Venga, ¿qué pasa? ¿Eh?
He see Calderón moving left to right, lands a straight left hand, followed by that beautiful right hook. Same point that we thought dropped Verde early in the fight. And
not that we're counting, but there are 3 rounds to go. Not the 2.
I always wonder about that. Trainer says 2 rounds to go, 2 rounds to go. Is the fighter thinking, no, I think there are 3? Or why does the round card girl have a 10 in her hand? Did you ever get that one, Roy? Harold, how do you have it so far?
Okay, Jim. 8 rounds to 1. 89-82, Iván Calderón. You know, Jim, the worst thing for me in boxing and in football is to prevent defense. And in round 9, I think Iván Calderón went into his prevent defense. He started to run around. You know, Verde got very aggressive, and Iván Calderón just seemed to tie him up and not do a heck of a lot more. I wish the heck he'd keep up that same offensive posture that he used for the first 8 rounds.
Stop. You got it?
And do some punching. 8-1, Calderón.
All of you know how enthusiastic Harold Letterman is as a boxing judge. What you may not know is that he's a full-time fantasy football coach, basketball coach, baseball manager. There's no decision in sport that Harold won't make for all the others.
Oh!
Solid counter right hook by Iván Calderón there. And now double right hook and uppercut. It's an old Mike Tyson combination. Now Calderón has started fighting again as opposed to being in the prevent defense, and again he's mixing up the attack, landing with both hands, flashing the lead left at the moments when Verde might be expecting a right, and sometimes leading with the right hook as you see there, or landing flush with counter right hooks. He's been brilliant much of the time.
Let him go, don't punch, step back.
We saw a young welterweight prospect on the undercard here named Joel Julio from Colombia, who was as dynamic and exciting a puncher as I think I've seen in the middleweight classes in a while. Be interesting to see where he goes.
We also saw Calvin Brock, the unbeaten American heavyweight, remain unbeaten. Perhaps we'll get a glimpse of that fight later on.
And in the last minute of this round, or really the last minute and a half, except for the body punches that Verde landed at the end there, Calderón punished Verde in that round. Meanwhile, moments ago, Arturo Gatti made his entrance into Boardwalk Hall. He's fighting here tonight for the 20th time in his career, and he's got 16 wins and 3 losses in his previous fights here. Roy, is there a home court advantage in boxing?
No, not really much of a home court advantage. I would rather say a home court disadvantage.
Arturo Gatti has been So active and so vital to the New Jersey boxing scene. He is the most beloved fighter in the Atlantic City boxing culture. When tickets for this fight were put on sale a few months ago, people lined up at 4:30 in the morning for the right to buy them, and the entire Boardwalk Hall sold out in 30 hours. There's no heavyweight in the sport who could have done what Arturo Gatti did for ticket sales here. All of that prompts Floyd Mayweather to say, great, I'm going to party on his home court. And some would say that while Gatti sold the live gate, it's been Mayweather with his obstreperousness and aggressive verbiage who's been more eager to sell the pay-per-view.
I think Verde may have hurt Calderón at the end of that last round.
And he just landed a straight right hand there.
Gave him some renewed confidence because now he's really trying to get to Calderón again.
Well, if Calderón's going to consider the prevent defense that Harold Letterman was talking about before, Verde may have encouraged him into it with that flurry at the end of the last round, because he did land two particularly solid body shots right here in front of us. Just as I was praising Calderón for his overall command of the round, incidentally.
Right, watch your head. Hey, watch your head.
Assuming they finish the fight and it goes to the scorecards, and Calderón moves Verde there with another perfectly thrown counter right hook.
Right, don't punch,
This be a great learning experience for the young fighter.
A very good learning experience for him. I don't think he'll ever meet another boxer in this division that is as good as this guy is as a boxer.
Hard to imagine that you'd find a better one.
And it should be a confidence booster for him too.
Because he's had some moments, and particularly in the last few rounds, he's been very much in the fight. Whoever he faces in his next assignment is likely to seem like a technically easy day at the park compared to this.
Yeah, they're gonna have a real problem.
All right, tight. Break.
This fight reminds me a little of De La Hoya Trinidad. With Calderón, incidentally, in the role of De La Hoya and Verde in the role of Trinidad.
Very good job, Calderón. This is the last round. Keep moving. You don't have to go inside. Bang, side to side, use your jab and go out.
Perder una pelea, pero con pasividad no.
Come on, don't be passive. Come on, go with everything. This round, you gotta knock him out. You ready? Rip his face off.
Come on. Let's go again. Let's go again.
Last round.
Gotta be smart. No quiero que entre nada aquí, ¿ok? Vamos arriba. Usted es más inteligente.
This is the final round. Let's have a round of applause for challenger and champion. Final round.
In round 11, Verde connecting with 14 power shots, 8 of them body shots, to only 12 for Calderón. That's Verde's highest output of the fight. And once again, as you see, he wins a round on the Letterman card where the competitive issue's already been decided, barring a knockout. I mentioned Iván Calderón's close friendship with 140-pound rising star Miguel Cotto, his fellow Puerto Rican, and Cotto, incidentally, is here at ringside tonight on what is a huge night in the 140-pound weight class, with Vivian Harris defending his title belt in the semi-main, and of course Gatti and Mayweather in the main event. Talk about a guy who likes to be in the arena, Roy. Cotto, who has recently been arriving 3.5 or 4 hours in advance of his own fights, was here at 6 o'clock, 5 hours before Gatti and Mayweather expected to get into the ring. Can't get enough of it.
But he probably came to see Calderón fight, though.
That's probably true. He's at least as interested in this. But he was here 3 hours before Calderón got in the ring. Just didn't want to miss anything, I guess. Verde surely aware that he needs a knockout. Trying to hunt Calderón down for one big shot. Calderón clearly aware that he's ahead on the scorecards. Just trying to be safe.
Break, don't punch. Work out.
I'll tell you what.
Don't punch, step back.
Verde doesn't stop coming, that's for sure.
It's been 30-year-old Iván Calderón of Puerto Rico.
Let him out.
Leading most of the way against Gerardo Verde of Mexico, and Verde has started later than he should have with an all-out body assault, trying to turn the fight into a war rather than a boxing match. If he had done this in the third round, it might have made a big difference.
Yeah, he hurt Calderón with the overhand right a minute ago.
Don't wrestle.
I think he's hurt Calderón 2 or 3 times with body shots in the last few rounds. And that's part of the reason that Calderón is fighting in the safety-first style that he now occupies. But again, Verde didn't do this until the competitive issue had already been resolved. And that's the end of the fight. So we'll await the decision on the subject of Iván Calderón's title belt in the minimum weight class division. Harold Letterman scores at 117-111, giving 3 of the last 4 rounds to Verde. It's not out of the question, in my view, that Verde could have won the last 5. Hard to imagine that he would have won any of the first 7, however. And again, fight reminds me of Trinidad De La Hoya in that particular regard.
Yeah, that's exactly how the fight started and exactly how it ended.
Absolutely.
I think Calderón won a few more rounds before he took the retreat mode, though.
Probably. He might have won a round or 2 more. And let's take a look at the guys who are going to be judging the fight. I say the guys, and immediately, of course, up comes Deborah Barnes. The men and women who will be judging the fight, and Deborah is a good veteran judge here in New Jersey. Noteworthy fight. Vargas Wright, 116-12 for Vargas. That was in Oregon. She made a long trip to file that scorecard. Adelaide Bird, another woman, another veteran from Nevada. 14 title fights, as you've seen. And she was the one who had Callie Meehan beating Layman Brewster in a fight that almost everybody agreed could have gone either way. And Melvina Lathan. So like I say, we take a look at the 3 women who are scoring the fight. No guys. Melvina Lathan, respected veteran judge from New York. Not the first time we've seen 3 women judging a championship fight. In case you're wondering. And Michael Buffer now has the final scores, so let's hear them.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the scorecards. Melvina Lathan and Adelaide Bird both have the same score, 117-111. Deborah Barnes scores it 115-113. All to the winner by unanimous decision, and still champion, Iván Iron Boy Calderón.
it went the other way on the night of Trinidad De La Hoya several years back in Las Vegas. Final CompuBox numbers here show Iván Calderón landing 162, 42 more than Verde, throwing 219 more than Verde. Verde simply started late, but ultimately landed at a higher connect percentage because he was targeting the body. Power punches, and again, almost all of Verde's good lands were quality power punches. 116 out of 376 in the power punch department. Calderón landing 21 more and throwing 25 more and landing at a slightly higher connect percentage. That straight left hand and the well-thrown right hook down the stretch. Those were the differences in the fight for Calderón. Let's go back upstairs to Bob Costas.
All right, Jim, thanks very much. Calderón and Verde getting us off to a good start.